Alexander Volkanovski takes on Islam Makhachev for the second time in tomorrow's main event of UFC 294. This card is absolutely stacked, but I'm not here to tell you how good this card is. I'm here to give you my main event breakdown and prediction. Both of these fighters are at the top of the UFC when it comes to their skills, and their stylistic matchup makes for an absolute banger. In the first fight, a lot of us underestimated how good the fight would actually be, and it outperformed a lot of our expectations due to the fact that we underestimated how good these fighters were in general. Islam Makhachev showed that he was a much better striker than a lot of us thought. He was much more defensively sound. He showed that he was a very good counter striker and a lot better off the back foot than we imagined. Alexander Volkanovski showed that he had much better grappling defense. His takedown defense was better than we expected, and his overall ability to get back up to the feet once he was taken down was better than we expected as well. Both fighters found success on the feet and on the ground, and it was just an overall classic of a fight. Volkanovski is the best striker in the UFC and the most skilled fighter in the UFC, and potentially of all time in my opinion. Volkanovski is a guy who has a very heavy boxing style with his striking, but he also has very effective leg kicks, which had some success against Islam Makhachev in their first fight. He has very high output, but that will be compromised due to the fact that he's taking this fight on 11 days short notice. A lot of people are also overestimating how much it's going to affect the cardio of Alexander Volkanovski, in my opinion. I don't think Alexander Volkanovski is going to be able to push the insane pace that he normally does, and I don't know if he will try to win this by decision. He might go out there pushing an insane pace for 2 to 3 rounds and then kind of fading a little bit later, but in my opinion, he can win this by decision. I think his cardio should be around 70 to 75% of what it normally is. I understand. I've watched all the Alexander Volkanovski fight lead up. I've seen how he trains his cardio. It's insane. But I do believe he's been training hard. He's going to have some of his cardio back. He's not just going to be cut in half with his cardio. He's going to have some cardio back. He's got a little bit of flab on him. He's definitely been eating a couple Twinkies, whatever Australia has. But his cardio's not going to be as bad as a lot of people are saying. If he comes out as aggressive, though, I think this could work to Islam Makhachev's favor because he's a good counter striker, and he showed ability to get some very slick takedowns when there was some striking exchanges within the pocket. Another thing to consider is that he was injured after the Yair Rodriguez fight. He said that he needed surgery, and he did have that surgery, but it seems as though he was only fully healthy like 3 weeks to a month ago. And even in his YouTube training videos, we see that he has that pad around his elbow in his striking training, not his grappling training, which is interesting to note. Maybe it is just on there because it's infected or to prevent infections, whatever the reason might be. But the odds are showing that Alexander Volkanovski's arm probably isn't fully healthy, and if it is, his cardio's not going to be fully there, and he's not going to be as strong as he was before because we know he had a long time to prepare, a full fight camp to prepare, and he was dieting, he was lifting, he was making sure to put on a little bit more mass, so he might not be as strong. Overall, there are just so many factors that aren't going Volkanovski's way, and he's also 35 years old, so he's getting old, and there is that statistic of 35-year-old contenders trying to become champ. All odds are against him. And I have to go with Makhachev because if it is a full fight camp, I might go with Makhachev anyways because he showed to me he's a much better striker than I would have ever considered. While it was a very, very close fight, and it's really hard to score. Even when I rewatch it, I'm like, fuck, I don't know who to score it for. I lean towards Makhachev. I still think Makhachev probably edged that one out, but it's not a robbery either way in my opinion. Also, if Volk's game plan is to come out here and pressure Makhachev and find that knockout early and be as aggressive as he's talking about being in his fight week interviews, this could be a very big problem just because Islam Makhachev has been preparing for a guy by the name of Charles Oliveira, and Charles Oliveira is the definition of a guy that likes to go out there, pressure you early, come at you with some big shots and try to knock you out early. And in the first fight against Charles Oliveira, Makhachev had a lot of success. He showed very great striking defense, and he was able to get the fight to the ground and get to the clinch exchanges very safely. He didn't eat basically any big shots from Charles Oliveira. And I love Charles Oliveira, but I was going to pick Makhachev against Charles Oliveira, and I'm going to be picking Makhachev against Volk by decision. And I'm not going to be picking Makhachev by a finish just because I think Volk's a very tough guy. He's got very good submission defense, and I don't think Makhachev's going to be trying to knock him out on the feet. I think it's going to hit the ground, and Volk's going to stay very defensively safe, but he's going to be lower on the cardio. He's going to start to fade in round 4, probably middle round 4, and then fade completely in round 5. I think Volk's going to get like one of the earlier rounds, maybe like round 1 or 2. I'll say round 2 he's going to get. Mystic pick, but I think 49-46 decision from Islam Makhachev. Volkanovski is going to pressure too much. Makhachev's going to be able to time takedowns within these close exchanges, and his counter striking is going to look very good. And I like the fact that there's factors such as kicking to the body, teeps to the body. His body kick had success. He didn't go to it very often. There's certain game plan adjustments for Islam Makhachev that he can make without even having to work on the skills nonstop, that he can just win the fight against Alexander Volkanovski. Whereas Alexander Volkanovski's, the adjustments that he has to make are completely skill-based, and I don't think that he's been able to work on his skills as much as he should be able to because he was coming off the injury. But you can also look at the Yair Rodriguez fight and say his offensive wrestling looked fantastic. So maybe he improved in his wrestling in that camp, but he just isn't as strong. His cardio's not going to be at 100%. And I don't trust that he's going to come at it from the right angle when it comes to the game plan perspective. But I am the guy that's cheering for Volk. If there's anyone that can get it done, if there's anyone I don't want to doubt, it's Volkanovski. I'm giving him like a 45% chance to win this fight. Probably a higher percentage chance than a lot of other people are saying, just because I think his cardio is going to be better than people think. I think he's the more skilled fighter. And if he's able to stuff takedowns like he was able to stuff in round 5 and some of the other rounds, not round 4, but some of the other rounds, and keep it on the feet, he probably will win the fight. But I just can't pick Volk for the reasons that I stated. But I will say he has the opportunity to do the undone. If he comes out here and becomes double champ on 11 days' notice, then goes back down to featherweight, beats Topuria, comes back up to lightweight, and beats Makhachev or whoever the lightweight contender is, we have to have some serious GOAT conversations. Alexander Volkanovski is a guy that I love, and I give him all the respect in the world. As I said earlier, I think he's the best striker and the most skilled fighter in the UFC and potentially of all time. But I just can't see him winning this matchup against Makhachev because there are so many factors against him. And in a full camp fight, I would probably go with Makhachev anyways. In conclusion, we're going with Makhachev by decision. As always, guys, thank you for watching this video. It's been a pleasure sharing the UFC 294 Fight Week build-up with you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'm out.